Brian Stull has worked to build his reputation in St. Louis sports radio.
It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
He's reported from the NFL sideline, the Cardinals clubhouse. And yes, he bleeds blue. Whether it's the squared circle or the octagon, Stully is at a stranglehold on the St. Louis sports scene.
It's true.
This is the Brian Stull Show, brought to you in part by Arrowhead Building Supply, exclusive provider of the Outside Elegance line. Visit them online at arrowheadbuildingsupply.com. And now, here's Stully.
Last night, all too familiar in too many ways. 12:03 in St. Louis, and here's what's trending now.
I mean, I think that every time we go out, we're going to win, regardless of what's going on. You know, we get up there, get up base loaded, 2 outs, and don't get the job done, and then, having to score the run on there on the double, and then, we get another chance there in the bottom of the 7th, and sometimes that's just the way the game goes. That's the game. So I don't worry about anything. I mean, guys were unbelievable all weekend and really good yesterday, and we got another chance to go out and do it again. That guy out there, he made pitches, and then their bullpen came in and they executed. So, no, I mean, we got all-stars through and through this clubhouse, through and through the lineup. I'm always worried about it, Just a day-by-day thing, it's just, that's the way baseball is. Sometimes you got to scratch and claw for some runs, and some days, Tyler O'Neill's going to hit 2 home runs in a game and take care of it. So that's the game.
Jack Flaherty staying upbeat after last night's loss. He threw 7 innings and drove in the only run of the game for the Cardinals as they fell to the Pirates. You have to go back to May 14th. That's the last time Jack Flaherty earned a win. He's pitched well since then, but the Cardinals, some offensive struggles last night, a couple of other gaffes as well that we'll talk about. But, as Jack Flaherty points out, they have a chance to take the series today against the Pittsburgh Pirates. We'll go over the lineups, matchups coming up in just a little bit. Also trending today, Drew Lock, the former Mizzou quarterback, not in training camp as the Broncos open up things this morning, or at least they've got the medicals and the big meeting tonight. Practice actually starts tomorrow. But as of right now, Drew Lock, the only Broncos pick, he was one of their second-round picks, unable to come to an agreement on a contract with the Broncos. And speaking of money, how about this? A $10 million payday. That has Hassan Ensign trending as he had that pair of kings to win the World Series of Poker very early this morning. He wound up beating out 8,568 other competitors in the tournament. But in the end, pair of kings taking care of business. $10 million. Not too shabby, and that is what's trending on this Wednesday, July 17th, 2019. Brian Stull, appreciate you giving the dial with us here on WGNU, and we do have some baseball talk on the way, obviously. We'll get you set for the Cardinals and the Pirates, an early start time today, so we'll go over that. Injury news, obviously, coming out of yesterday's pregame. But a little later in the hour, I'm looking forward to this as a local boxing promoter as well as film director. Earl McWilliams is going to be in the house. He's got a new documentary out, The Road to the Pros, so we'll be talking that, and obviously some other items to get into as well. But as the Cardinals and the Pirates prepare to close out their series this afternoon, Cardinals lineup looks like this. Tommy Edman will be leading things off. He's at second base today. Jose Martinez will bat second. He's in right. Paul Goldschmidt at first base. Tyler O'Neill has a 4-game hitting streak, 8 for his last 16. He'll be batting cleanup, playing in left field. Dexter Fowler will be in center field, batting 5th. Paul DeYoung slides down to 6th. And then Jaro Munoz starting at third base today is Matt Carpenter on the injured list. Andrew Kisner finally going to catch somebody other than Adam Wainwright. Kisner will be behind the plate catching Daniel Ponce de Leon. So for the Cardinals, it is Edman, Martinez, Goldschmidt, O'Neill, Fowler, DeYoung, Munoz, Kisner, and Ponce de Leon today against the Pirates. And last night, you know what? Jack Flaherty did a nice job of kind of encapsulating last night. But there was the frustrations that the Cardinals, in particular that 7th inning, were not able to put a run across the plate. When you've got Dexter Fowler at third base, whether the ball, that 1 inch, could have made a big difference being a home run versus the double and an error. If he would have been running full speed into second base. Could he have scored an inside the park home run, or however they would have scored it? Despite the frustration of that, first and third, and you're unable to bring a run in. We'll hear from Mike Schilt coming up on that, as well as a very interesting insight to the game regarding replay and Jack Flaherty at third base from last night. We'll get to all that. But big news before yesterday's game. I think we were all expecting some kind of update on Matt Carpenter. We knew that he had come out of the game on Monday night with that right foot contusion after he fouled the ball off his foot in the seventh inning. Cardinals said at the time they'd evaluated. The imaging was positive in the sense that there was no fracture, but they were going to evaluate. So yesterday before the game, asked Mike Schilt, what's going on? He said, yeah, Matt Carpenter to the injured list, that right foot contusion, pretty severe. Edmundo Sosa being recalled by the Cardinals. And Matt Carpenter in a lot of pain and obviously pretty frustrated that he's now going to be walking around in a boot for the next few days at least.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to wear this boot for 4 to 5 days, and then hopefully the swelling and inflammation goes down, and I can start doing what I need to do.
Schulte said it was your idea to go to the minor leagues and get some swings in after you get healthy enough to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I've played, I don't know what the exact number is, but 3 games in it feels like 20, 25 days, 30 days, I don't know. So, I need to, once I do get this going, get some at-bats and get going, and so I can come back and help.
Were you kind of at the point where you felt like you needed some reps in the batter's box, and then you get hit with this? Is that kind of a bummer? Because you would miss those games.
Well, I wanted to play, and then, now I can't, and, that's why we talked about getting some bats, because I haven't been able to do it.
Do you know where you'll do that? I mean, is that something like go to Florida and just play as much as possible, or go to AA, AAA,
I don't know. That's just going to depend on how long this takes. I don't know. Just, if it takes the full 10 days to get healthy, then, make an adjustment after that. If it takes 3 or 4 days, then, go play and be ready to go right when the 10-day stint is up. I don't know. They haven't really given me a timeline of how long it is. It's kind of up in the air.
How disappointing, because I know you want to get it back on track, and to have a setback like this is basically you start the second half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing. You don't want to be injured ever, and to do it, after just coming back from the All-Star break, feeling like, ready to have a strong second half, both individually and for the group, it's pretty frustrating.
How much pain are you in? I mean, that foot has been found a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I've never not been able to finish an at-bat before, and I couldn't do it, and couldn't walk this morning, and it's pretty uncomfortable.
Do you have to trace what's causing all the foul balls off your legs? You have to look at that as any indicator of something?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's something I've never dealt with before, so certainly would think that something is causing it, but I haven't been able to put my finger on it.
Searching for your swing and it be related, or is that two different things?
Maybe. I mean, if you don't feel comfortable with your swing and you're continually producing a result that you're not, used to, it could be something.
Have they told you about when the boot comes off or timetable, what you can do?
I don't know. They said they don't really have a time. They don't want to give a timetable, but, they're optimistic that it won't be, more than a week.
They were conclusive, though, today once the swelling went down and they re-imaged it that there's no fracture, right? It's definitely just bruised.
Yeah, it's just, just some bone contusions and some swelling in that joint. And if it wasn't in the joint, it probably wouldn't be as big of an issue, but the fact that it's in the joint and the movement that causes, just not able to walk real well.
Is it like the joint on top of your toes or go closer to your ankle?
Closer to your ankle, to the top of the foot.
So when you go down to Memphis or Springfield or wherever you go, is it just getting back to hitting the ball hard? Is there something specific you're trying to work on swing-wise, or just getting reps swinging the bat? Is that good?
I don't know. I'm just going to go get at bats and get ready to play. I don't know. Try to get healthy first and then get some timing back so I can come back and play well.
Did you feel, I think of that line drive the other day, it was right at him, but you barreled that one up good. Did you feel like the swing was where you kind of wanted it here?
Yeah, I took some good swings this 3 games that I had, and, just continuing working with Jeff, our hitting coach, and trying to build a, second half, and now we got a little setback, so we got to start over.
You're going to have 2 months left probably when you do get back. Are you confident you can get a lot done in these 2 months that just to balance out what's happened before?
Yeah. I mean, I would hope so. I mean, that's the goal. You know, I can't predict the future, but my goal is to come back strong and help us win games. That's the ultimate, goal, and that's what I need to do.
This may work out for the best. Obviously, Matt Carpenter frustrated, disappointed yesterday, and as he shared, he was in a lot of pain. He wasn't even able to walk when he initially got up out of bed yesterday morning. So, understandably, needing to go on the injured list so that way he can, heal up. Which, whether it's 4 to 5 days, a little bit longer than that. But then being able to go down, whether it's Memphis or Springfield or Palm Beach or wherever he goes to get some of those hits, to get some reps. He's right. It's been a while because he wasn't playing going into the All-Star break and really didn't get a lot of at-bats. I think he had 15 at-bats coming out of the All-Star break. So this could be a good situation because, as Matt Carpenter's talking about there, I don't want to say that his swing isn't right, but he's not feeling as good at the plate as he would like to. And the Cardinals, you look at where they're at. Look, I know there's people that have been clamoring saying, look, Tommy Edmonds got to play, Jarl Munoz has to play. They are playing right now. And they're going to continue to get to show what they can do here for the next 10 days. They're going to be rotating in there. They're going to handle the bulk of the playing time at third base. It was Edmonds yesterday. It's Munoz today. Is Edmonds over at second base for Colton Wong? They're going to get the opportunity, just like Tyler O'Neill is getting the opportunity to run with things in left field while Ozuna's on the injured list. But it would behoove everybody if Matt Carpenter can return to form. It's good for Matt Carpenter. It's good for the Cardinals. It's good for Cardinal fans watching. It's good for everybody. So to allow him to go down and kind of, reset was the word before the All-Star break, but to actually get some of that work in, to get some at-bats and be ready to go so that when he's coming back, it's a little different when you step up to the plate at Memphis or Springfield and you want to work on something versus when you come up to the plate in a big league game and you're expected to deliver something. Entirely different sort of atmosphere. Obviously, Memphis and Springfield would like to win their games as well. But if Matt Carpenter goes 0 for 4 at Memphis because he's working on something, or if he goes down to Florida where he's essentially a DH and he's getting 7 at-bats in a game, good. This could be a positive. He's got to get healthy first, got to get that foot squared away. But then if he's able to get some of these extra at-bats and really come back and be able to be a positive impact down the stretch for the Cardinals, this could be a win-win. Frustration yesterday, disappointment yesterday, but this could turn out to be a very positive for Carpenter and the Cardinals. All right, when we come back, I told you I'd let you hear from Mike Schilt, who did not make any excuses for last night, in particular the latter innings. The Cardinals had their opportunities, were unable to capitalize, but he also raised a very interesting question for Major League Baseball. Going to let you hear that straight ahead. Brian Stull with you, WGNU.
You can stay updated on the St. Louis Cardinals 24/7 at STLBaseballWeekly.com. Breaking news, plus all of the interviews from the show and bonus web features are just a click away at STLBaseballWeekly.com.
You already know Arrowhead Building Supply is the premier supplier of roofing and siding in St. Louis. But did you know that Arrowhead is also your exclusive supplier of Provia vinyl siding? Furthermore, Provia is the very same vinyl siding which used to be called Heartland siding. Yes, Provia is famous for their doors and windows. But you contractors remember Heartland siding very well, with its great performance and those famous heart-shaped weep holes. Call your local St. Louis area Arrowhead location today and compliment your Provia doors and windows with Provia vinyl siding. ArrowheadBuildingSupply.com.
Do you need a car? Been shopping only to be turned down because of bad credit, low credit, no credit, bankruptcy, or divorce? Guess what? Today's your lucky day, because now you can buy a car, truck, or SUV, just about any vehicle. It's true. Bad credit doesn't matter. No credit doesn't matter. Bankruptcy or divorce, it just doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, your job is your ticket to your new vehicle. We're Auto Credit Express, and we've helped thousands of people just like you. Antonio H. told us, great company, got me connected, and the day I went in, I drove off in the car I wanted. 100% worth your time. Need a car? Get started now and drive off as early as today. Just go to 18ignoremyscore.com right now. That's www.18ignoremyscore.com. Auto financing the easy way. 18ignoremyscore.com. Get started today. Auto financing the easy way.
The Cardinals host the Astros July 26th through the 28th and celebrate the 15-year anniversary of the 2004 NL Championship team, presented by Heartland Coca-Cola. Friday, it's the 2004 Mystery Player Jersey Giveaway, courtesy of Cooper Tires. Saturday, the 2004 National League Champions Mystery Player Ring, courtesy of Edward Jones. And Sunday wraps up the celebration with the first-ever Cardinals Triple Bobblehead, presented by Coca-Cola and Deerbergs. Tickets at cardinals.com/promotions.
You're listening to the Brian Stull Show, brought to you in part by Arrowhead Building Supply, exclusive home of the Outside Elegance line. Visit them online at arrowheadbuildingsupply.com. Now, back to Stully.
Yeah, I think that's clearly frustrating. You know, you got first and third, nobody out, and, you know, you can't get a ball in the infield. So, you know, obviously guys are giving the effort, but we got to execute there. And, you know, it's a game of execution, and the last 3 innings, more or less, we didn't execute as well as they did. That was the difference in the game.
If Dexter's going full speed in the second, do you think he's able to score on that play?
I don't know. I mean, I would be surprised if Pop would have sent him with nobody out, you know. Took a fortuitous bounce for them, for sure. Great swing. Got to be able to get him home with nobody out.
Got to get him home with nobody out. No question about that. Mike Shildt not making any excuses for the way his team performed offensively there in the 7th inning. You've got Dexter Fowler doubling to left field because of the error. He winds up at third base. And look, I saw it just like you. If Dexter Fowler is running full speed into second base, I'm convinced he scores. I mean, the way the ball bounced around out there in center field, I think he scores. Dex is fast enough that he comes in with the winning run. Now, what we also saw, though, was the point that Mike Shildt raised. There's nobody out. Pop Warner may have held him up at third base. I'm willing to acknowledge that. But afterwards, Colton Wong tried to get the sacrifice fly, wasn't able to do so, but he did draw a walk. So at that point, first and third, nobody out. Matt Wieters comes up, grounds into a force out. Run doesn't come home. Harrison Bader comes up, unable to get the bunt down, and then winds up popping out to Josh Bell in foul territory. And then Jose Martinez is the pinch hitter for Flaherty, and he grounds out. No run. That's unacceptable. The Cardinals, you heard Mike Shildt say, that's unacceptable. Definitely frustration afterwards that they weren't able to get that run in, unable to get a bunt down, unable to manufacture to just play small ball. A sacrifice fly doesn't seem like it should be that difficult by a big league hitter. Doesn't seem like it. But I can tell you this is a conversation that has been had for years and years, and it's not exclusive to the Cardinals. Unfortunately, the sacrifice fly is like a lost art in Major League Baseball today. And again, it has been for quite a while. I remember having a conversation with Andy Van Slyke, 8 seasons ago, back in 2011, when we were at a different station doing shows together. And that was one of the frustrations that he shared as an alumni player. Look, a sacrifice fly should not be difficult for a big league hitter. But it is. And he wasn't speaking exclusively of the Cardinals. He was talking about the game in general. That was one of the things that frustrated him when he was coaching. He was with Seattle and Detroit and LA. I mean, again, the game has changed, unfortunately, in that regard. So I play that because I wanted people to hear Mike Shildt not excusing what happened last night. He said, and he reiterated later, that in particular the last 3 innings of the game, the Cardinals did not execute, whereas the Pittsburgh Pirates did, and that was the difference in the ballgame. No excuses from the Cardinal manager last night. But he did raise, or actually he didn't raise, he was asked about his conversations on the field with the umpire last night. And he had a very interesting response about, in particular, the play with Jack Flaherty at third. You remember Harrison Bader, who I know people were down on Harrison Bader. He should have been able to get a bunt down last night. Okay? With Harrison Bader's speed, yes, he should have been able to get the bunt down. But I also think you have to look at Harrison Bader's hustle, getting him into second base and then stealing third to set up Jack Flaherty driving him in. There was some positive out of Bader last night as well. But Jack Flaherty then stealing third The replay rules that he came off the bag, so he's out. That was a big play in the game. And Mike Schilt lending a little bit more to the story on that particular play.
I needed clarity on the invoking of the time that you get to review a play. Because, and I, for whatever reason in that particular scenario, and I need to be better versed in it, and I want to make sure I articulate what I say here. There's 30 seconds, right? There's a clock. I'm on it all the time, always on it. Chad's on it. And you get within, which is they're doing their job. Look, the guys they do a great job. They're just enforcing the rules. I mean, these guys are really good at what they do. And I got no problem within, the 30 seconds having to make a decision. Like tonight, later on, it got to 30 seconds. We didn't have clarity, so we punted. Time was up, But they're being pretty persistent about you having to make a decision within that 30 seconds when you usually have about 8 seconds. I get it. Speed of game, I understand that. Hey, go need a decision, need a decision, need a decision. I got no problem with that. But when 42 seconds elapse between that play, and for some reason it doesn't go to it's to the judgment, and then Gary has his stopwatch out, and it goes 42 seconds, and then he says, well, it's based on when I started. Well, I can appreciate that, but you started it 10 to 12 seconds, however you want to view it and look at it, kind of late. And then you started it, and then now we're right at about 30 seconds, and no one was rushing their bench. So I just am perplexed, and that's why, I don't want to go out there. I'm not a guy who goes out there, And so I went to AJ at first, right when it was happening. Like, what is this 30 seconds? He goes, Gary has the clock. And then so I go to the home plate, go to Bruce, same thing. I probably should have gone to Gary immediately, quite candidly, because I still need some clarity on how 30 seconds can be 42 seconds and it gets to be that ambiguous. It's a big play. I mean, that's a safe call. I won't take exception with the decision, and that's what I told him, the decision's the decision. Did I agree with that either? Well, you can't argue with the phone. But, that was a big play in that game, and so just didn't understand it, still really don't, so I'm going to need to get some clarity on that. Is it 30 seconds or is it this vague, when the guy starts the clock in a certain situation that turns into when he gets his stopwatch out? So, yeah, I took exception with that. Yeah, I mean, Bell threw it to me, and Frazier had his back turned, and I picked it, and, Frazier had his back turned to me, so I tried to flip it to him, and I ran off the field and told Bell I wasn't throwing it. I did my part. I picked it, But anyway, go get him tomorrow.
Was the answer ambiguous?
The answer was that, and here's the thing that I still need clarity, and at some point I could have continued to talk to Gary. I mean, they explained every guy, AJ and Bruce and Gary, they gave me the explanation. I still didn't understand the explanation in the sense that the clock doesn't have to be going at that point on that particular play. And I'm going, I get the clock on me all the time. I don't remember having this free window of not having a 30-second clock. But in their defense, there wasn't a 30-second clock because I was looking for it. And I was like, well, what is this? Just, free play? We just get to try to take a peek at it. And because here's the thing about that 12 seconds, to my point earlier, if we're going to be on the deadline for 30 seconds and we have to make a decision, we couldn't make a decision in 30 seconds. But we had another 12 seconds, we could probably made a better decision. We didn't have it. And so, that's a big part of that game. It's either 30 or it's not. And if there's some ambiguity about it, then get your stopwatch out and start it immediately. If you think, that's a bang play. You're right there. And you called him safe. So just start it if you think that's the situation. Either way, that's 10 to 12 seconds elapsed, and that creates an opportunity for them to make a decision and get another look at it. And our replay, just like I'm sure theirs is, those guys do as best they can with what they can get as soon as they can get. And, those seconds are precious, and, getting an extra 33% or more than that doesn't seem reasonable to me. That was a big play in that game.
What was the play you would like to have challenged that you didn't
Oh gosh, there was about 15 of them, So I don't remember specifically which one. There was just one, and we just, ran out of time. And I'm looking at the clock going, and Bruce rightfully telling me, hey, speed it up, speed it up, speed it up. What do you got? And they were great. They weren't over like on me. They were just like, hey, you got a decision. That's fine. I don't have a problem. It's the rules. And Ollie was like, we don't have it. And I was like, okay, let's just play.
You counted 42 seconds on
We've looked at it. And about 30 seconds by the time he took his watch out. Right at. Without any hurry of needing a real. I didn't feel an urgency to it.
Yeah, that, again, Mike Schilt wasn't trying to use that as an excuse for the Cardinals losing last night. There's some people who are misinterpreting that on social media. But the fact of the matter is that was a big play in the game. You would have had Jack Flaherty at third base with one out and Tommy Edman at the plate instead of Jack Flaherty in the dugout, 2 outs, and Tommy Edman then grounding out in the 5th inning. At the time, it was 1-1. Big play. There should be some sort of consistency in when the umpires start the clock in that regard. All right. When we come back, as mentioned, a new boxing documentary is out, focused on the St. Louis boxing scene. We're going to talk with the director, Earl McWilliams Jr. That is straight ahead. So keep it right here. Brian Stull with you, WGNU.
You can stay updated on the St. Louis Cardinals 24/7 at STLBaseballWeekly.com. Breaking news, plus all of the interviews from the show and bonus web features are just a click away at STLBaseballWeekly.com.
You already know Arrowhead Building Supply is the premier supplier of roofing and siding in St. Louis. But did you know that Arrowhead is also your exclusive supplier of Provia vinyl siding? Furthermore, Provia is the very same vinyl siding which used to be called Heartland siding. Yes, Provia is famous for their doors and windows, but you contractors remember Heartland siding very well, with its great performance and those famous heart-shaped weep holes. Call your local St. Louis area Arrowhead location today and compliment your Provia doors and windows with Provia vinyl siding. ArrowheadBuildingSupply.com.
The Cardinals host the Astros July 26th through the 28th and celebrate the 15-year anniversary of the 2004 NL Championship team. Presented by Heartland Coca-Cola. Friday, it's the 2004 Mystery Player Jersey Giveaway, courtesy of Cooper Tires. Saturday, the 2004 National League Champions Mystery Player Ring, courtesy of Edward Jones. And Sunday wraps up the celebration with the first ever Cardinals Triple Bobblehead. Presented by Coca-Cola and Deerbergs. Tickets at cardinals.com/promotions.
You're listening to The Brian Stull Show, brought to you in part by Arrowhead Building Supply. Visit them online at arrowheadbuildingsupply.com. Now, back to Stully.
This past week was the St. Louis Filmmaker Showcase, 19th annual St. Louis Filmmaker Showcase, and among the features that was screened, I'm looking forward to seeing this. I definitely want to sit down and be able to sink my teeth into The Road to the Pros, the rise, fall, and rebirth of boxing in St. Louis. Let's head over to the guest line and bring into the conversation the director of the film, Earl McWilliams Jr. Earl, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm excited.
Yeah, well, that is awesome to hear. You got me fired up, and the idea of this film, the fact that you've brought it to fruition, like I said, I'm anxious to sit down. I was disappointed I didn't get to make it out over the weekend, but I definitely want this documentary. Tell us about it.
Well, this is my pride and joy, really. I'm such a boxing fan. I'm just a boxing enthusiast, and I'm geeky about it. And I really am, and I've been a part of the Amateur Boxing Association for the last 7 years, and I've grown so close to these trainers and fighters as people that I felt as though their efforts were not really being publicized, and I wanted to keep in its proper context the legacy that has been created, and I wanted to preserve it on film. Mm-hmm. So the idea was to show the Amateur Boxing Association in a realistic light and a positive light, and I wanted to brag about their accomplishments as trainers and their commitment to trying to keep kids off the streets and keep them in something positive.
Yeah, no, I think this sounds great. And for people that might be unaware, and I don't know the exact number, but I know there's some different promotions, some different camps, if you will, in St. Louis. My understanding is, though, that you really kind of, this is a broad look. This wasn't like you're just like, okay, I'm focusing on this one promotion. You really tried to incorporate everybody into this film.
Exactly. We have so many boxing gyms and boxing trainers in the St. Louis area, and they don't get the publicity or the celebrity that I thought they deserved. I felt like we should pretty much heighten the awareness of these guys and celebrate their efforts, because many of these trainers have been training kids since the early 50s, and they're icons. And I said, okay, let's bring this to the mainstream.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic, and the easy names, or the most common names to think of, would be like Spinks and Devin Alexander and Kevin Cunningham working together. But who are some of these other names that, as you said, they haven't gotten the same publicity over the last few years, but these are some names that people should be aware of on the fight scene?
Well, as far as trainers, you have Jimmy Howe, who has trained fighters since like the early 60s at North County Gym, and he has produced a lot of world champions. In fact, he worked with Devin Alexander. He worked with a lot of top guys, and you have the late Marvin Millett, we just lost him maybe 2 months ago, and he trained his son Teron Millett, who was a welterweight champion in the earlier part of the millennium, fought on HBO a few times. So this guy made a name for himself. You also have the great Arthur Johnson, who was an Olympian in 1988 and was a world champion as well. So St. Louis is very fertile in the boxing business, and I just wanted to bring that back to light a little bit.
Yeah. So, again, the documentary, The Road to the Pros, is this a case where you went and you kind of profile a bunch of individuals, or stylistically, how did you present all of this in your film?
Well, what I wanted to do was individual profiles on all of the most prolific trainers, the ones that have the most seniority and in terms of service time in the sport. Each trainer, and I believe we covered 10 trainers, were profiled, and then of course we had interviews with their understudies as well to validate their bond with the trainers. So it turned into a 1 hour and 20-minute documentary. We had so much information, we wanted to do it under 60 minutes.
Okay.
But we got the editing room, like, look, there's so much good stuff here. Let's keep it going a little bit,
Yeah, you're ready for part 2. The sequel is already set to go, right?
That's right. We have enough footage,
Yeah. How long a process was this? As I mentioned, I mean, it just screened at the St. Louis Filmmakers Showcase, but how long a project was this for you to put together?
This took 17 months. We started in the fall of 2017. And, unfortunately, life got in the way a little bit. We lost several trainers in the process. We lost the great Ben Stewart, who was a trainer at Wold Community Center. We lost the voice of St. Louis boxing, Peter Vaccaro, who has been a staple as the ring announcer / MC since the 90s. We lost Marvin Millett, who was a trainer at Pagedale. So, we had some adversity along the lines that kind of delayed the project a little. So 17 months was a total work time on the project.
Yeah. So for people that were unable to attend the St. Louis Filmmakers Showcase and watch this, where can they go now? When is there going to be another showing, or how can they get access to The Road to the Pros?
Well, within the next month or so, we're looking for major distribution so we can have it ready for purchase on DVDs and whatnot. We have a major announcement coming up really soon. Right now, things are kind of in the negotiating stage, but really soon, we're talking within the next month or so, we'll have that available for the entire public.
Oh, very good, very good. Is there a chance? I don't want you to, jinx yourself or anything, but is there a chance besides the DVD release that there might be some sort of like theatrical release that we might be able to hit a few cinemas around here and watch the film?
Absolutely. We're in the negotiating stages there. That would be nice to have it at the movie theaters because, you know, it was a great experience to see it on the screen for the first time. And I'm the editor and director. It's the first time I've seen it on the big screen. I said, whoa, this looks good. We have to get in the theater pretty quick here.
Yeah, yeah. So do you have a filmmaking background, or I mean, obviously you have a passion for boxing. Did you say, you know what, let's make a movie. Let's document this, or were you like, I'm a boxing fan, and oh, by the way, I also make movies. Let's combine the two.
You hit it right on the head there. This is my first time ever producing a movie.
Okay.
And I've always wanted to be honest. You know, I've been a boxing fan since I was 5 or 6. But I did want to make a documentary about the sport because I wanted to pretty much debunk some myths about the sport. I wanted to bring out the positivity. There's a lot of negativity in the sport as far as safety. You know, I wanted to show people that, you know, amateur boxing is very safe because of the headgear and gloves and whatnot, and I thought that a film would be a perfect vehicle to demonstrate that.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, let's drive this vehicle and see if we can get our point across and show that it is a positive sport.
No, I think there's a lot of positives, in particular on the amateur level. Earl McWilliams Jr., the director of The Road to the Pros, with us. You know, being a boxing fan, being a movie fan, deciding that you want to make a movie, I would imagine not the easiest thing in the world to do because, you know, unless you won the lottery or something like that, I mean, you can't just underwrite it. So how difficult a process was it just to line up, you know, the funding so that you could make this a reality?
Oh, very difficult. You know, it was a lot of sacrifice because, you know, a lot of times you have to create your own budget, and you have to work within tight parameters when you do such. You know, if you don't have the fancy sponsorship or backing.
Right.
So you have to work with people who are really willing to work with you, have the same passion to say, okay, let's really just, I'll work with you to make sure this project gets out there. So kudos to my editor, Demetrius Thomas, who also believed in the project and gave me a great discount.
No, that's awesome. But you know what it does? It takes people that believe in it on this sort of level, you know, whether you're talking about, you know, a promotion or a movie or, I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I absolutely understand and get it. And a lot of times it's a labor of love. People don't understand how much blood, sweat, and tears really go into a project like this, not looking for the financial windfall, but just because it's something passionate that you care about and feel needs to be out there.
Right. I was very passionate, never lost my focus, even during, you know, life's adversities in the duration of the work. But I felt like it had to be completed, and I'm so proud of it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Do you think, and I'm talking here on the amateur level, because I think it's important that there is a separation between amateur and professional. As you mentioned, safety-wise, some of the rules, regulations, the politics, all that kind of stuff, there is a line of demarcation there. Is there been a little bit of a resurgence in boxing of late? Because I know there was it seemed like there was this boom, and then I don't know if it was because of MMA or what, but, you know, boxing kind of fell back a little bit. Do you see a resurgence here on the amateur level?
I do, because we just crowned a national Golden Gloves champion earlier this year, which is a lot of progress because it was our first national Gold Glove champion in about 20 years.
Okay.
And you know, it's so difficult on that level. You know, it's so many things that have to go your way to make it to that level.
Right.
And the fact that we have several kids who competed deep into the national competition and succeeded, I think it's a step in the right direction. I believe what we really lacked was not the talent, It was more the exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're getting more exposure now. Now we can have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, that is fantastic to hear. And before I let you go, and by the way, you've got to keep us in the loop when these big announcements come down, because as I mentioned, I want to see the road to the pros. So please, please, please keep us in the loop. But I heard that you have this amazing boxing collection. Tell me, I'm not going to ask you what's your favorite one, but what are a couple like unique things where, like, if I was over at your house and I would literally stop and be like, how the heck did you get this?
Well, I have a boxing glove that is signed by Marvelous Marvin Hagler,
nice.
Roberto Duran, and unfortunately the late Pernell Whitaker, who was a great champion. We just lost him Sunday in a car accident.
Right, yes.
And that is one of the most remarkable pieces. And I also have a very rare 1971 poster of the and it's original, of the first Muhammad Ali-Joe Frazier fight in Madison Square Garden.
That's really, I mean, the glove's cool, but that poster, yeah, they have an original, not a reproduction. That is pretty sweet.
Right, I love it. I should just stare at it all day. I'm so happy about it.
How'd you acquire that? Did somebody pass it down to you, or did you find it somewhere, or what?
I actually was lucky enough to find it on eBay. I found it on eBay a few years ago, and they said it was an original copy and that it was only maybe 25 of them produced. I said, okay, this has to be a part of the collection. So I think that's my favorite piece of memorabilia.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Do you call it the Man Cave, or since it's is there a boxing nickname to go for your display?
Well, it started off a man cave because it was just one area. Now it's a man house because it's all over the place now. It really, friends will come over and say, Earl, when are you going to stop putting stuff up? I said, when I run out of stuff.
Yeah. No, well, that is cool, and you'll have to, I don't know, set up some sort of screen for the road to the pros, so you can, have like a, hit a button, and that way the movie will start to play in the house for you. So
it's on its way.
Yeah. Very nice. Well, congratulations on the film. As I mentioned, I'm looking forward to seeing it, and so keep us in the loop on all the future announcements. But the road to the pros, Earl McWilliams, thanks so much for the time today and continued success.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
You got it. Take care. Bye-bye. That is Earl McWilliams, Jr., and it's important to get those stories out. I mean, you got to pass it along so people can remember and know what's going on and hear some of those names. They hear Jimmy Howell, and they hear Arthur Johnson, and to hear Peter Vaccaro, to hear those sorts of names and understand who they are, because otherwise, it's part of our responsibility. You got to keep that stuff going on. All right, when we come back, we'll get an update from the ballpark, a few other items to tend to as well. Keep it right here. Brian Stull with you, WGNU.
Stay connected with the latest Cardinals news 24/7, 365 days a year. Log on to STLBaseballWeekly.com.
The Cardinals host the Astros July 26th through the 28th and celebrate the 15-year anniversary of the 2000 NL Championship team, presented by Heartland Coca-Cola. Friday, it's the 2004 Mystery Player Jersey Giveaway, courtesy of Cooper Tires. Saturday, the 2004 National League Champions Mystery Player Ring, courtesy of Edward Jones. And Sunday wraps up the celebration with the first-ever Cardinals Triple Bobblehead, presented by Coca-Cola and Deerbergs. Tickets at cardinals.com/promotions.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-301-5435. That's 800-301-5435. 800-301-5435.
You already know Arrowhead Building Supply is the premier supplier of roofing and siding in St. Louis. But did you know that Arrowhead is also your exclusive supplier of Provia vinyl siding? Furthermore, Provia is the very same vinyl siding which used to be called Heartland siding. Yes, Provia is famous for their doors and windows. But you contractors remember Heartland siding very well, with its great performance and those famous heart-shaped weep holes. Call your local St. Louis area Arrowhead location today and compliment your Provia doors and windows with Provia vinyl siding. ArrowheadBuildingSupply.com.
Do you need a car? Been shopping only to be turned down because of bad credit, low credit, no credit, bankruptcy, or divorce? Guess what? Today's your lucky day, because now you can buy a car, truck, or SUV, just about any vehicle. It's true. Bad credit doesn't matter. No credit doesn't matter. Bankruptcy or divorce, it just doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, your job is your ticket to your new vehicle. We're Auto Credit Express, and we've helped thousands of people just like you. Antonio H. told us, great company, got me connected, and the day I went in, I drove off in the car I wanted. 100% worth your time. Need a car? Get started now and drive off as early as today. Just go to 18ignoremyscore.com right now. That's www.18ignoremyscore.com. Auto financing the easy way. 18ignoremyscore.com. Get started today. Auto financing the easy way.
Now back to the Brian Stull Show, brought to you in part by Arrowhead Building Supply, exclusive home of the Outside Elegance line. Visit them online at arrowheadbuildingsupply.com. And now, back to Stully.
Things are tied up 1-1 down at the ballpark. They are in the bottom of the second inning. Starling Marte had a solo shot in the top of the first for the Pirates, and then Tyler O'Neill answered with a 2-out RBI to bring in Tommy Edman for the Cardinals in the bottom frame. So, again, in the second inning, it is tied up 1-1. Daniel Ponce de Leon on the mound for the Cardinals today. And if you missed it earlier, lineup was Edman Martinez. Edman at second base, Jose Martinez in right field, Goldschmidt at first, O'Neill in left field. He's now 9 for his last 17. He's got 10 RBIs since he was called back up. Not too shabby. Dexter Fowler in center field. Paul DeYoung sliding down to 6th in the lineup today. He's at short. Jaro Munoz at third. And Andrew Kisner behind the plate, catching Daniel Ponce de Leon. So we'll keep you updated on the game and what's happening there. Again, I'll say it, frustration last night. That was a game the Cardinals could have won. They had opportunities to win that game. But if they win today, they take the series against Pittsburgh. They took the series against Arizona. You got to keep doing that. You can't. Jack Flaherty, I thought, had a very good outlook on the game. I mean, there's a guy who should be frustrated. He hasn't had a win since May 14th. And he's had a couple of really good outings since then. And one or two that weren't so great. One that, I'd say only one that was bad. But he certainly has pitched well enough to have more than no wins since May 14th. But he said, you know what? Go back out there today. So, 2-out RBI, that was a big hit. Big hit by Tyler O'Neill, who I think is a little more relaxed this go-round, in the sense that he knows he's going to be out there playing every day with Ozuna on the injured list. This isn't a case of, hey, you got to go out there and you got to bang out 4 hits if you want to be back in the lineup tomorrow. Tyler O'Neill's got a little chance. And as he shared, came in early before Monday's game, did a little extra video work, did a little extra cage work with Jeff Albert and Mark Budaska with Buda. Paying off. He's feeling good. He didn't come in early yesterday. I asked him before the game, did you come in and do the video early work again? He's like, no, I'm feeling good. Yeah, I would think so. A couple other notes to get to. Did you get to watch SmackDown last night? I stayed up way too late after I got back from the Cardinals game, but I had seen some of the items that were being tweeted, was following on social media last night beforehand. In particular, with the start of the program and the WWE superstars on the stage, some airing of the grievances, if you will, the open mic that Shane McMahon was facilitating. I don't know about you, but I mean, hey, Roman Reigns, not worried about diplomacy. Okay, that's fine. That's Roman. That's good. And he had a nice moment with The Undertaker. But how about Liv Morgan? Liv Morgan. I can tell you social media was very excited last night that Liv Morgan was getting some opportunity. The match itself, yeah, not so much. Charlotte Flair made pretty quick work. But I hope it's the beginning of a storyline there. It's a beginning of Liv Morgan getting some opportunity. I'd like to see what else she can do. I mean, she had, I don't want to say rave reviews, but there are a lot of positive things to say about Liv Morgan and her time down at NXT. She has an interesting look with the whole Harlequin thing going on. We've seen that she can bump. I mean, the Riot Squad, why aren't you doing more with the likes of Ruby Riott, Sarah Logan, and Liv Morgan? I thought they were a legitimate stable that WWE Creative could have done more with. You split them up, you break them up, that's fine, but let's see something now. So for her to step out and, call out Charlotte Flair last night, I thought that was well done. The Queen handled her business. I hope that's just not the end of it. It needs to be the start of something, not the end of something. Even if it's Liv Morgan with somebody else. Somebody else who wants to come and laugh and tease her for calling out Charlotte and let that branch off into its own storyline. There's some opportunities there. Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton, like seeing what's going on there. I'm continuing to like what Kevin Owens is doing. It doesn't bother me that Kevin Owens is delivering stunners to Shane McMahon. I guess some people are up in arms about that, but Stone Cold Steve Austin has been very public in his support of Kevin Owens. If you've got the rattlesnake behind you and you're going up against Vince's son, I don't think there's anything wrong with, borrowing the stunner from time to time as you're re-imaging, repackaging, updating a very familiar storyline. It is what it is. But Kevin Owens is different than Stone Cold Steve Austin. Shane McMahon is different than Vince McMahon. It's not going to be the exact same storyline. I mean, the basic premise is pretty easy to follow, but I think in professional wrestling, when are you reinventing the wheel? What you're finding is new ways to tell familiar stories with new individuals. Add some creative, put some different twist on things. But I mean, come on. Man versus man. Man versus nature. Man versus, himself. There's some basic premise lines that you follow in literature, in creativity. Come on. I'm okay with it. It's not like Owens is walking out in a rattlesnake shirt now with the cutoffs and slamming beer over his head and climbing up, giving everybody the double middle fingers. He's still Kevin Owens. He's KO. Don't have a problem where that one's headed. Actually, I do. If you recall back when the whole 24/7 title was announced by Mick Foley, which I thought fell incredibly flat. It was disappointing, frustrating. I thought it was hokey. I was not a fan of it returning. I thought it was a very watered-down version of what the hardcore title was. I'll be honest. R-Truth has been hysterical. I'm warming up to Drake Maverick. I think he's done a great job. So knock on him. I think he's done a great job. I'm still kind of trying to warm up to Drake Maverick a little bit. But in terms of Ron Killings, R-Truth he has made that 24/7 title actually something to look forward to on shows. So wanted to go back because I've been critical of it. Hey, that's something that I think has come together pretty nicely. It's allowed at least two individuals. I think it's a stretch to say the likes of Titus O'Neil and EC3 and everybody else, Mojo Rawley, that we see running after the title. Yeah, they're not really involved. Okay, so they get an appearance on TV. I guess that's a positive. But to me, the real story has obviously been between Drake and R-Truth. And in that regard, it's done a nice job of providing something different to complement the in-ring action. Paul Heyman, Eric Bischoff, I don't know if the 24/7 title falls under their umbrella being given credit. Some of the language, a more realistic, a more edgy sort of dialogue that we've seen from some of the wrestlers of late, I think absolutely you can credit a Paul Heyman and an Eric Bischoff for that. I also don't have a problem with Brock Lesnar having the belt again, because it appears that we're going to see Brock Lesnar defending that belt, that Brock Lesnar is going to actually be involved, if not on a weekly basis, but on a very regular basis in the program. This is going to be the cases before where he won the title and we saw him once every 3 months. That was unacceptable. That was frustrating, disappointing. And whether it is just Seth Rollins or there's some other people that start to get involved, I mean, got to figure that at some point, Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley, that's a match that needs to happen, right? That's one that we've been waiting to see. When you think of the amateur backgrounds that they have, obviously the physique, I don't care who's heel, who's face. I just want to see Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley in the ring. That's one that you look forward to as a fan. Forget about how you just get there. Get there already. Maybe after SummerSlam we'll start to see that path carved out. Maybe leading into Survivor Series. Huh? Could work. Could happen that way. All right. I'm going to head down to the ballpark, so you can follow me on Twitter at StullySTL, as well as STLBaseballWeekly.com. Keep you updated on all the news coming out of the game today. And then we'll be back in tomorrow with another edition of the Brian Stull Show. So until then, have yourselves a great afternoon, and keep it right here, WGNU.